If you're watching this the night before an IEP meeting, stay. If you're watching this after one that didn't feel right, also stay. I've sat in that room, and I made exactly the mistakes I'm going to tell you about. I'm a family physician. I've been in practice for over 20 years. My son was 6 when I walked into his first IEP meeting. I had read the documentation they sent in advance. I understood the clinical terminology. I nodded in all the right places. And when they put that form in front of me, I signed it. I remember that drive home. I thought, at least that's done. I thought something had actually happened in that room. But the weeks turned into months and nothing changed. I spent my days as an expert, leading rooms like that one. But in that room, I was just a parent, and I didn't realize I was playing by a script I hadn't written. Nobody told me I was allowed to use different words that would have shifted the entire trajectory of my son's year. Today, I'm giving those words to you. Why these changes work. Here's the question that sat with me for years. What would have changed if I'd said something different? We're going to find out. Here's what most parents walk into that room believing. The school has assessed your child. The school has a plan. The school will present it. Your job is to understand it. But that's not how it works. Here's the thing about that meeting. You're not there to receive. You're there to negotiate. I'll come back to that. First, something most parents don't know before they even walk in. I have been the physician in rooms like that boardroom. I have sat across from families and walked them through care plans. I thought I understood what it felt like to be on the other side of the table. I did not. Here's what I would do differently. 4 things. And after that, what's actually in the document you signed and what you can say before you do. Here's what I hear most often from parents in my practice. We're waiting for the diagnosis before we talk to the school. I understand that instinct. A diagnosis feels like the credential, the piece of paper that gives you standing, the thing that makes the school take you seriously. But that's not how Canadian schools are required to work. Under human rights legislation, in every province, schools have a duty to accommodate. Not a duty to accommodate diagnosed children, a duty to accommodate children with suspected needs. That is the legal baseline across Canada. If your child is struggling and you can describe the struggle, the school must respond. They cannot say, "Come back when you have the diagnosis." But how you describe it determines what happens next. I'm worried about my son gets a conversation, a sympathetic one, a pamphlet possibly, a follow-up, unlikely. I've noticed my son is struggling to complete written tasks in class, and I would like to formally request a review of his learning needs. That gets a process, a documented one, a legally required one. Same child, same struggle, different words. This matters because the wait for a formal diagnosis in Canada is not short. In Ontario, a publicly funded psychoeducational assessment can take 18 months to 2 years. In BC, sometimes longer. In Alberta, 6 months to a year for public assessment is common in most regions. Your child cannot wait 2 years. Your child cannot wait 2 years. While you wait for a diagnosis, you're watching their confidence evaporate every single morning at the school gate. You don't have to watch that. The IEP process doesn't wait for a diagnosis. It waits for you to ask. The school system has a door specifically for parents who don't have a diagnosis yet. Most parents don't know it's there, but now you do. But to get through it, you have to knock in the right way, which is exactly what I want to talk about next. Knowing you're allowed to ask is one thing. Knowing what to ask is something else entirely. Here are the 4 phrases I wish I had used in that boardroom. I'm going to give them to you directly. Then I'll tell you what each one does. Phrase 1. I'm formally requesting that this meeting result in a written plan with specific, measurable accommodations. The word formally matters. So does written, so does measurable. Extended time on tests is not measurable. Time and a half on all time written assessments is. The difference is not small. Vague accommodations disappear at the end of the school year. Specific ones travel with your child from teacher to teacher, year to year. When a new teacher opens that file in September, they need to know exactly what to do. Extended time tells them nothing. Time and a half on all timed assessments, noted in the gradebook and communicated to the exam board, tells them everything. Phrase 2. I'd like to receive a draft copy of the IEP at least 5 school days before I'm asked to sign it. That's your right. In Ontario, the Education Act protects parental involvement in IEP development. In Alberta, the standards for special education give similar protections. The language differs by province. The principle does not. You cannot meaningfully consent to a document you're reading for the first time while someone waits for your signature. When I sat in that room, the IEP was handed to me at the meeting. I read it while the vice principal waited. I signed it. That is not meaningful consent. That is time pressure disguised as process. Ask for it in advance. You are allowed to say, I'd like to read this before I sign it. That sentence alone changes the dynamic in that room. Phrase 3. I'd like to note my concerns in writing as part of the IEP record. Most parents don't know they can disagree with the IEP and have that disagreement documented. You do not have to accept what is on that page. You do not have to sign it if it is incomplete. And if you do sign it with reservations, you can ask that those reservations be attached to that file. This matters because the IEP is a legal document. Anything agreed to verbally in that room but not written down does not exist. One family I know in Nova Scotia, the teacher agreed verbally that their daughter could leave class 5 minutes early to avoid the sensory overwhelm of hallway transitions. That teacher left at Christmas. The new teacher didn't know, and it was not in the IEP either. Write it down. Get it documented, or it didn't happen. Phrase 4. I'd like to schedule a review at the midpoint of the school year, not just at the end. IEPs are legally required to be reviewed at least annually in most provinces, but your child's needs don't stay static for 12 months, so neither should the plan. At midpoint, a review is not unusual. Schools can accommodate this, and if December comes and the accommodations aren't working, you have a scheduled moment to say so, rather than losing an entire school year to a plan that stopped fitting by October. Let me say them again quickly. Ask for measurable accommodations. Ask for the draft in advance. Ask to have your concerns in writing. Ask for a midpoint review. None of these phrases are aggressive. None of them are combative. They are professional requests made by a parent who knows the system. That parent can be you. And now I want to come back to what I said at the start. You are not there to receive. You are there to negotiate. Here's what most parents don't understand about the IEP meeting. The school proposes, you consent, or you don't. The school does not get to decide what goes in your child's IEP without your agreement. You are not a bystander. You are a signatory. These 4 phrases exist because a signatory is different from an audience. Know which one you are. But knowing how to ask for it is different from knowing what you're actually reading. A lot of parents sign the IEP without knowing what the 5 sections mean, or the difference between an accommodation and a modification, or that they're allowed to take it home before they sign. Let me fix that. First, what the IEP is not. It is not a diagnosis. An IEP does not mean your child has been formally categorized. It does not follow them to university. It does not appear on their permanent record the way that parents sometimes fear. It is a working document for the school year. That is it. A proper IEP in any province should include 5 things. 1. A current level description. Not below grade level. What specifically your child can do and what they can't, in concrete terms. 2. Measurable goals for the year. Not improve in reading, more like will read grade-appropriate texts with 80% comprehension by June. 3. Accommodations, what the school will do to help your child access learning. Extra time, quiet testing environment, access to assistive technology, all of this falls in this category. 4. Modifications, if applicable. I'll come back to this because it does matter. Number 5, who is responsible? Which teacher? Which resource person? Which tools? Names, not just roles. If any of those 5 sections are vague, you can ask for specificity before you sign. That's not being difficult. That's making sure the document can actually protect your child. I want to spend a moment on that 4th point, because this is the piece that matters most and gets explained the least. Think of it this way. An accommodation changes how your child learns. It gives them a path to the same finish line. A modification changes what they're expected to learn. It moves the finish line. Schools often prefer modifications because they are simpler for the system to manage. But simpler for the school isn't always better for your child's future. Accommodations, same test, extra time. Modification, different, shorter test. Neither is inherently wrong. Some children need modified curriculum, but you should know which one you're agreeing to. A modification can follow your child's academic transcript in ways an accommodation does not. Universities and scholarship committees see modifications differently. It is worth understanding which one you're signing. If you're not sure, ask, is this listed as an accommodation or a modification? And write down that answer. One more thing about the document. You are allowed to take it home. I know the meeting has reached its natural end. Everyone is gathering papers. The principal has somewhere to be. You are allowed to say, I'd like to take this home and review it before I sign. That sentence may be the single most useful thing in this entire video. Say it. Take it home. Read it. Sign it when you understand what you are agreeing to. But there's the other thing. Here's the thing about everything I've just told you. It all has a different name depending on where in Canada you are. If you've searched how to get an IEP in Alberta and found nothing, this is why. It's not called an IEP in Alberta, but it exists. So let me give you that map. In Ontario, IEP Individual Education Plan. In Alberta, IPP, Individual Program Plan. In British Columbia, IEP, same name, slightly different process. In Saskatchewan, IIP, Individual Instructional Plan. In Manitoba, IEP. In New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and PEI, the name varies by province, but the document and the rights exist in each one. In Quebec, the framework is called EHDAA. If you're in Quebec, that's your search term. Different names, same purpose, same basic rights. What to search? Your province, IEP Parents' Rights, will get you to the official ministry documentation. Ontario's is detailed and worth reading fully. Alberta's standards for special education are clear and not long. In BC, look for the Special Education Policy Manual. I put together direct links to the official provincial resources, the ministry pages, the parent right documents, and the one parent advocacy organization per province worth knowing. They're in the description below. The system was built for your child. Learn its name where you are. I want to go back to that room, that small boardroom, 2 chairs, my son's file, me signing what they put in front of me. If I walked into that meeting today, I would ask for the draft 5 days earlier. I would ask for measurable accommodations. I would ask for a midpoint review, and I would take it home before I signed it. That room would be the same. The people would be the same. The form would be the same. But I would not be the same. And that's the entire point. The school system is not built to fail your child. It's built for volume, for speed, for parents who accept the template. You now know that you don't have to. If you're listening to this after a meeting that just happened, email the school resource teacher tonight. Ask for a copy of what you signed, and don't feel ashamed that you didn't know these questions to ask in the moment. Every parent in that car park is learning on the fly. You haven't missed your chance, and you can still make it right. You haven't missed anything permanently. You can still make it right. In the next episode, I want to talk about what comes after the IEP. Because the question I hear most often once a parent has accommodations in place is, what about medication? Is it time? And whose job is it to even bring it up? I'll walk through that next time. It's more nuanced than most of what's out there and more hopeful than you might think. Everything here is for informational purposes only and isn't a substitute for care from your own physician. But you already knew that. Take care. Bye.